you have to do this practice. I'm pretty sure the teacher called it jumping out of depression. Literally what you do, you put on a 3-minute song and you jump for 3 minutes. So when you jump, you are helping to move energy up and down your spine. The way I like to think of it is that energy, just like matter, can get kind of stuck in nooks and crannies and it can feel stagnant. I mean, we've all felt that. Anytime you feel kind of lethargic or heavy, that is stagnant, stuck energy. And so anytime you feel that way, or if you literally feel sad, depressed, anxious, whatever it is, jump for 3 minutes, you will feel like an entirely different person. Hello, my friends. Welcome to It's All Magic. I am your guide, your host, and your friend, Devin Hine. And here we'll be discussing how to make your life truly feel like magic. I believe that our very existence on Earth is nothing less than a miracle, and that we all have so much potential to learn, to grow, to experience, and to create during our short time here. It is both my passion and my pleasure to walk this path of life optimization by your side, where we'll discuss topics like passion, purpose, intuition, manifestation, physical well-being, and much, much more. I'm a yoga teacher, a meditation and breathwork facilitator, and a national board certified health and wellness coach. But more importantly, I am an eternal optimist, a lover of life, and a forever student. It is my hope that with each and every episode, you too will finally start to believe it really is all magic after all. Ready to dive in? Let's do it. Hi, everyone. It is me. Hi. I'm so excited to be here with you all today. I hope you're having a marvelous day. I hope it's been a wonderful week, whatever you were doing, whatever has happened up to this point. Remember, you can always turn it around if it hasn't gone the way you've wanted it to so far, or if it's been marvelous, it can keep being marvelous. So I hope you are doing swimmingly, and I hope you are as excited for this episode as I am. Today, we're going to just be sitting down like friends, having a cup of tea, and telling some fun stories. I recently got back from a really fun and very eventful trip to New York City with my amazing husband / best friend / soulmate / editor, Cal. And I have so much that I want to tell you about the trip. I thought it would be fun to sit down and just kind of tell the whole story of why we went on the trip, what we did on the trip, and the many lessons and epiphanies that we had during the trip. Because I don't know why I'm here if it's not to tell you about my experiences and everything that I learned from them. I'm definitely one of those people that anytime I experience anything in life, so pretty much day to day, I am filled with epiphanies, things that I'm realizing of, people are so funny the way that we do this or the way we think about this. So I want to share those ideas with you all. So I want to invite you, before we embark on this journey together, if you would like to take a deep breath with me, please feel free. I feel like that might be kind of a nice way to start these episodes. I feel like most of us, whether you're having a phenomenal day or not, could use a deep breath. So if you have the ability to, I invite you to first just exhale, release all of the stale air in your body, and then go ahead and take a deep inhale through the nose with me. And open mouth, let it out. I feel like a new woman, don't you? Okay, so let's get into the story. I'll start by explaining that this entire New York City trip was actually a surprise trip for my birthday, which at this point was a few weeks ago. Cal, again, my amazing husband, knows that I love surprises more than anything in the world. When I say that, I'm actually not exaggerating. Okay, I probably am, because I have a penchant for drama. It makes life fun. But I love surprises to the point that one time, a few years ago, Cal accidentally spoiled a surprise. It was going to be a surprise party for me, a surprise engagement party. Okay, let that sink in. A surprise engagement party. And he accidentally mentioned something to me about it. And I was so devastated that the element of surprise had been taken away that I sobbed. I literally sobbed, you guys. Surprises to me make life, as magical and sparkly as it can get. I recognize saying this now that life in and of itself is pretty much a surprise every single day. But think of this for a moment. When someone says, hey, I have a really fun surprise planned for you for Saturday. Be ready by 1 p.m., wear this, bring this, it's going to be great. How is that not the funnest thing? Okay, so with that in mind, this was going to be a surprise trip. Notice my emphasis on going to be. Cal is great at many things, but so far, keeping surprises as surprises is not one of them. So this is how it went down. So he had been telling me for weeks that he had a surprise planned for, I think it was a week after my birthday. Let's go with a week after my birthday. So I knew something was going to happen, but I didn't know what it could be. I didn't know if it was a surprise party. I didn't know if it was a special show in the city. I didn't know if it was a mini weekend trip. I had zero clues. Actually, that's false, because going back to what I just said of Cal not being the best at keeping secrets, maybe, I don't know, a few weeks before my birthday and the whole revelation of the surprise, he had told me, oh, I know what it was. He had told me that there was something that he wanted to go into his work office for on a weekday, because they had some sort of wellness thing going on. I think it was they had the machine to measure body fat, and he was like, oh my God, I have to go. So he mentioned that, and then he goes, oh, never mind, I can't go, and leaves it at that. And that was, I knew date-wise, that was going to be the week of the surprise. So I hear that, and I'm like, okay, smooth, my dude. So it started with that. But you guys, it gets worse, or should I say better? And I'll also caveat this by saying we have already dissected all of this together. We've been through the emotions. At this point, we fully just laugh it off. It is all good. He's learning. I'm learning to accept it. But I have to emotionally bring you into the moment with me. So it is my birthday night. This was August 18th. And he says, okay, I'm finally going to reveal part of your surprise. It's in your card. And so, all day, I'm so excited to read his card. So I open up the envelope at the end of the evening. I've already had a wonderful day with him. We've had a really great vegan sushi dinner in San Francisco. I've opened my gifts. Life is good. I sit down with the envelope. The first thing I pull out was so exciting. So I pull out this fake boarding pass. So it's a fake plane ticket. And I think he had written something like birthday girl surprise trip airlines. So when I say it was all fake, it didn't say Delta or American Airlines or anything. It said birthday girl surprise trip airlines. And of course, at that point, I know it's a trip. But granted, I already kind of knew it was a trip because Cal couldn't go get his body fat scanned at his work office. So I had an inkling. So anyway, I pull out the plane ticket and it says takeoff destination SFO. So San Francisco office, or not office, airport. And then it says destination, question mark, question mark, question mark. And so at this point, I'm getting really excited because I have told Cal for years that my dream surprise would be a surprise trip. So he has known this for years. It has given him great stress and anxiety for years because he knew it was something eventually he would have to do. And in this dream of mine, I had always told him that I want to wake up one morning. Let's say it's a Saturday. I wake up, and of course he says the usual, "Good morning, most gorgeous, stunning woman I've ever seen in my life." And of course I say, "Well, hello, my darling." And that's how every morning starts. So that's how Saturday starts. And then he says, "I would like to tell you, my love, that we are going on a plane later today. I have righted a packing list for you. And more importantly, I will help you to pack because I know you dread it so." And then he will help me pack. I will have no idea where we're going. We will head to the airport, get on a plane. Of course, I will block my ears so that I can't hear the people giving announcements of where we're going. And then we will be on said flight, land in the plane. I will look out the window, get random hints of where we might be, but I literally will not know until we enter the airport, and I will be looking for signs. So that is my dream. Keep that in mind, you guys. So back to this envelope. I open up this plane ticket. I see that I don't know where we're going. I'm stoked because at this point, all good. It's probably important for me to know that we're going on some sort of trip, but I don't know where we're going. So it does have the dates, I will say that. So I knew that it was going to be longer than a weekend trip. In fact, it was 10 days. So I put the plane ticket to the side. At this point, I pull out the next piece of paper in the envelope, which I think the next one, oh yes, was the packing list. So this is where it gets hilarious, you guys. So I look at the packing list and it says things like 1 cocktail dress, pajamas, workout gear. He said 2 streetwear. Okay, that's what he said for daily clothing, 2 streetwears. So I look at this and he says the classic of, "Oh, this will give it away." First of all, why is it that we as humans, when you know what a surprise or a secret is, you think that everything is going to give it away? I read through the whole packing list 17 times and had no idea where we were going. Literally 0 clue. But in his mind, the surprise was already spoiled. Okay. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt right here and assume that at this point, he thought I already knew, even though I said that I didn't know. So here's the packing list. And I will also note, as I just mentioned, he said 2 streetwears. You guys, we were leaving for 10 days, literally 10 días. Okay, 10 days, and he's telling me to pack two daily clothes. 4, maybe I could understand. I could repeat a few. I could mix and match. 2, Cal, are you actually crazy? You married a maximalist, my friend, not a minimalist. So that already got us some great laughs. So I put the packing list to the side, and then I see yet another piece of paper. This one is all green, and at the top it says hall pass, and it looks like a school hall pass. And it has the dates written. It was for a full week. And then it said teachers and had my 2 managers at work listed under teachers. And I was kind of smiling, but I said, well, I don't really understand. What is this? And he said, so I contacted your managers and got you the entire week off work. Mic drop. He did that for me. And it's so crazy that he did that because at dinner, I actually had said to him, I was, I think, guessing what the surprises could be. And I said, it's funny that you could never even contact my managers. I don't think you even know their last names. Ha ha ha. He found a way, my friends. He actually found one of my work friends on Instagram, messaged said work friend, and asked for my manager's contact information. So, Cal, you get all the kudos, all the credit for this. That was beyond impressive. That part was the biggest surprise of all. I had no idea you could even do that. So, granted, I was thrilled, also in shock. It was like such a positive, but over and over I kept saying, I can't believe you contacted my managers? You got me time off work? How does that even happen? So I was just beside myself with all sorts of emotion. And then at this point, okay, put your seatbelts on, my friends. This is where it takes a turn. So we start talking about why I have a week off work, because it's a very, very busy time for me and my team at work. We're already understaffed, overworked. It's a little chaotic. And so I said to him, I don't know if I can take the full week. I feel kind of bad, but also I trust that, you've gotten me the time off for a reason and we must be going somewhere amazing and all this stuff. And then we're just casually talking about this trip. And he says, one thing I will tell you, the plane rides, like the timing of the flights, are not ideal. And I said, that's fine. Like a red eye type deal. And he goes, no, not quite. I mean, we will be landing at 1 a.m. in New York City. And I said, did you just say where we're going? And he said, S-H-I-T. Yes, I did. So by giving me this extra information that I didn't even need about the flights, this man spoiled the surprise. Oh my gosh, I love him. He will get there one day. As we have discussed at this point, because this one wasn't fully a surprise, and by fully I mean it was not a surprise, it's still on my bucket list to have him surprise me with the trip. So he knows this one didn't check it off. We've been through that together. So at this point, I know we're going to New York City, and he proceeds to explain why New York. It's because we were actually invited to 2 weddings that were 1 week apart from each other in New York City. One is in Long Island and one was in Brooklyn or Queens. I don't really know New York that well. So one of the two. And we had originally declined because at first I had an event. It was going to be like a mini weekend trip that I had planned during one of the weekends. And then overall we were thinking, it would also just be too much to get to the other one. It's really expensive from California. So maybe a month before my birthday, Cal had the epiphany, this could be actually a really fun surprise trip. And it was magical. It was marvelous. It was a great time. But that's why it was New York. That's why it was full 10 days, pack 2 streetwears, bring a cocktail dress, all of the good stuff. So moving on, I will move into the trip at this point. So as I mentioned with the hall pass, when he said, hey, I got you a full week off work, once I found out that it was New York, which is, again, extremely fun, but we had both been there, and I knew that we were then going for 2 weddings and we had a couple other activities planned. I said, okay, since it's in New York and we'll be in, an Airbnb, I kind of feel like I shouldn't take the full week off work. So this was me just doing that American thing of not taking time off work. And I feel like I can say that because I have a lot of Irish coworkers and they take time off work right and left. They don't understand us Americans. Like, why do you guys live to work and work to live and just eat, breathe, sleep, work? So it's a fantastic question. I'm trying to work on that. Thanks. So we didn't end up taking the full week off. Instead, we worked Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, half of Thursday. And then we had Thursday, or the rest of Thursday and Friday off. And then the following Monday was Labor Day. So we had that day off. So I bring that up because when we got to New York and we were working all day it was kind of like the coffee shop lobby of the hotel or of the Airbnb, which happened to also be a hotel. Very confusing. Ask Cal, DM him. But we realized that even though we were in New York City, because we were working, staring at a screen, doing the same work for 8 hours a day that we do when we're at home, we were not having a fun time during the day. Not that it was a particularly bad time, but it reminded me a lot of some meme, I think, that Cal told me about years ago. In this meme, this guy goes, I felt really depressed, and so all of my friends told me to travel. And then there's a picture of him in front of the pyramids, and it says, thanks, now I'm depressed in Egypt. So that has really stuck with me because I feel like in general, whatever state of mind or mindset that you have at any given time, you don't escape it when you go somewhere else or when you do something else. You have to actually try to change it if you want to be different. You know, you could be stressed at a yoga class and completely chill and at ease during a stressful meeting. So it's entirely based on your mindset. Literally, your mindset creates your reality, which is something that we are going to talk about a lot in this podcast because I believe it to be so incredibly true. And we realized that again when we were in New York, that even though we were in this incredibly fun city with activities planned for after work every day, when we were sitting in the coffee shop, just working on our screens, doing work that we don't enjoy. I'll also mention that. So it's work that we have both decided eventually to part ways from, you could say. And yeah, we felt that. We felt that in our mindset, in our mood, and then we would have to kind of break out of that every single day when we were transitioning to the next event or activity or dinner or going for a walk, whatever. So I just wanted to point that out. Just always remember the thanks, now I'm depressed in Egypt, that you do not escape from yourself. But that's also kind of a beautiful truth because the more you work on yourself on the inside, you bring that with you in whatever you do in life. So the more you work on your joy and your acceptance and your bliss and your optimism and your idealism, it will follow you wherever you go. Okay, so moving on. And I'm looking down because I have my very, very cool journal with me. I was journaling about this the other day and I just want to make sure that I don't miss any of the fun details. So on Tuesday night, Cal said that he had a surprise activity planned for us for after work. And so obviously I was thrilled because finally I'm getting a surprise. And so after work, he told me to get all dressed up, which is the funnest thing in the world for me. I'm still a 4-year-old who loves to wear my mom's heels and put on her lipstick. That's what brings me the utmost of joy. So get all dolled up, and then we proceed to take the subway. Luckily for him, I'm terrible at directions. So even as we were getting closer to the theater district, hint, hint, wink, wink, I hadn't a clue. So he could take me anywhere and I'd be like, this is great. I don't know where we're going. So anyway, we get to the theater district. We proceed to have this marvelous Indian dinner. And then we walk over to Wicked, the show Wicked. So if you haven't seen Wicked, it is phenomenal. It is top tier, top notch, top of the scales. I don't know how else I can say top. Cal and I have both seen it, but not for probably 15 years. It's one of our favorites. And so it was just really fun to see it again on Broadway. And the reason I think why he had chosen Wicked is because as I have been embarking on this journey of starting this podcast and really finding my voice again and refinding my sea legs and chasing after this path of my purpose and my joy, I've been realizing that a lot of the songs in Wicked, particularly one called Defying Gravity, has become my theme song. So I'm going to tell you some of the lyrics. I've written them down in my journal. This is one part of it. Something has changed within me. Something is not the same. I'm through with playing by the rules of someone else's game. Too late for second guessing. Too late to go back to sleep. It's time to trust my instincts, close my eyes, and leap. It's time to try defying gravity. Oh my gosh, I just got chills. Oh, so powerful. So that, as I said, has become truly my theme song. I pretty much dance to it every day. I listen to it when I'm in the shower. Actually, that's false. I sing it when I'm in the shower, which does not sound the same as Idina Menzel. But the whole concept of defying gravity is that one of the characters, I'll just say this, has big dreams that do not align with society. And I feel that that is true for so many of us. And so she starts saying, I'm through accepting limits because someone says they're so. Some things I cannot change, but till I try, I'll never know. I think it's time I try defying gravity. And she says, to those who ground me, take a message back for me. I am trying to defy gravity, or whatever she says. And it's just a really beautiful reminder that all we need at the end of the day is the courage to be authentic, the courage to be ourselves in a world that wants us to become like everyone else. And, you know, there are some games in the world that we might choose not to play because they don't actually resonate with us, or some paths that we might choose not to take because they don't feel aligned. And that's okay. But you have to have the courage to stay true to yourself, to be authentic to what brings you joy and what feels aligned. So that is currently the journey that I'm on. I mean, we're all on this journey all the time, but because I am planning on breaking up with my corporate job and doing more of this full time, something that brings me so much joy and truly feels like my purpose. This is my journey of defying gravity. You know, I'm through with playing by the rules of someone else's game. I'm signing up for my game now. So I bring this up just because I feel like if you haven't found a song that brings you a feeling of awe and pumps you up, almost like the artist is singing your truth, I want you today, after this podcast, to go and find that song and listen to it whenever you can. You know, annoy the heck out of your partner, out of your family, out of your friends. Play it all the dang time. Because I think we all need some sort of like background song, theme song that reminds us of who we are and what we want, especially on the days when we've forgotten, because we will all forget. You know, I have days where I forget as well, and I have to come back to, oh no, I'm defying gravity here. And to those who ground me, I'm not listening. So that is my little tip for you, my little lesson from Wicked. And it's funny because the other character, so that song is sung by a character named Elphaba, who is meant to be the Wicked Witch of the West. I think it's the West. By the way, Wicked, if you don't know, is meant to be the prequel to The Wizard of Oz. So Elphaba is the Wicked Witch of the West. I think it's the West. Let's say the South, because I know that's wrong for sure. And then the other character, main character, is Glinda, which is, of course, the Good Witch. And she sings a song that cracked me up. Her song said, "Happy is what happens when all of your dreams come true." Okay, happy is what happens when all of your dreams come true. And it cracked me up because it could not be further from the truth. And I feel like most of us know that. You read articles or listen to podcasts that say, it's about the journey, not the destination. And, you have to find ways to be happy now and all of those things. But I'm telling you, those things are true. Why is it that we spend our whole life saying, if this, then I'll be happy. Once this happens, then I'll feel good about myself. Because if you think about it, the place you're standing right now in your life probably was once a dream of yours. You probably once dreamed to have the job you have, or, you were probably once 13 wishing to be 30, flirty, and thriving. Thank you very much, Jennifer Garner, from 13 going on 30. We're all currently living a dream that we once had, a desire we once had, something we were led to choose or to do. And so if you are not happy now, this is already your if then. You're already in the if. So it really is all about learning to feel good in the moment. Happy doesn't have to look the same for all of us. Maybe your happy does not look like my happy. I'll tell you right now, my sister's happy does not look like my happy. I am a very giddy, excitable person, but you can be happy by feeling content and feeling like you are on the right path and doing things that fill your cup more often than you are not. So I want you, no matter what you're doing in life right now, to find a little bit more of your happy. So maybe it means that you stop speaking so negatively about yourself and you actually look at yourself in the mirror when you get ready every day and just tell yourself one thing that you love about yourself or something that you're proud of. If we bring more of that self-acceptance and self-contentment into our lives, then we no longer need that if-then statement of if this happens, then I'll be happy, because we're already happy, and then we can let that happy guide where we want to go. And we're actually choosing from a place of contentment rather than choosing from a place of lack. So whenever I make decisions, it's that, I feel good right now, but I think that will make me feel even better. That feels really aligned, as opposed to I am lacking this. I need that. That desperate energy is not what we want in life. So anyway, that was a little bit of a tangent, but that is what I took away from Wicked. So thank you, Glinda, for sharing that happy is what happens when all of your dreams come true, because now we know that's actually not true. But I love you. You're beautiful and magical. So moving on to Wednesday. Wednesday night after work, Cal had yet another surprise activity planned. And I was so excited for this one because the one thing that I knew was that particular Wednesday night was a full moon. Not only was it a full moon, but it was a blue moon and a super moon. So a blue moon, if you don't know, is when there is a second full moon in 1 month. And I don't know how rare it is, but I think it's pretty rare. So it was the second full moon of August. And then a super moon is something like it's slightly closer to Earth, or it appears somehow larger to us. I think because it is closer to Earth. Let's go with that. So it was both a super moon and a blue moon. So it was an incredibly powerful full moon. And for those of you out there that are listening to this and are saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe she actually believes in this moon stuff, I just want to say one thing. If the moon can control women's bodies and all of the oceans on the earth, how could it not control anything in your life? So the moon is incredibly powerful. Also, we each are made up of 60 to 70% water. So if the moon controls all of the Earth's oceans, how could it not have an effect on us as well? And I actually happen to know my aunt is an ER doctor, and she says that the ER is crazier on full moons than on any other night, except for maybe New Year's Eve or something like that. And I also know there happen to be more police dispatches on full moons than on other nights. So I'll leave you with that, just something to ponder. So anyway, I knew this was an incredibly powerful full moon, and I also knew that the surprise was taking place at a yoga studio that Cal and I had walked past in New York. And so I was assuming it was some sort of full moon ceremony. Okay, so I was onto something, but I wasn't quite right. So we get to this yoga studio, and I found out that it's actually a Kundalini yoga studio. So if you know about Kundalini a ton right now, please forgive me if I get anything wrong. I'm going to share the little bits that I know about Kundalini, and I hope it's okay with you. So Kundalini, I'll start by explaining this. If you've ever heard of the chakra system, there are 7 chakras or energy centers in the body. So it's kind of an ancient system that many different religions, but also healing modalities have referred to. So the chakra system, you have these 7 energy centers running down your spine, more or less. And it's believed that at the base of your spine, where the chakras start, is almost this energetic, like spiritual center called your Kundalini. And it's often symbolized as a snake. So if you've ever seen the symbol for medicine, it's actually a pole with a snake wrapped around it. And this is actually the fun fact, that snake touches the pole in 7 different spots. There are 7 chakras, my friend. So I personally think that the symbol for medicine is actually showing the Kundalini snake wrapping around your spine. So that is what it shows. And also in that symbol, I believe that at the top, it usually shows kind of a bright white halo. And that is our crown chakra, which is, the top of our head. And that is essentially our connection to source, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it. So anyway, Kundalini yoga is all about more or less awakening your Kundalini energy. So when you are not doing practices that, keep you aligned and awaken your energy, that Kundalini snake energy is more or less just sitting stagnant at the base of your spine. But when you work on certain practices and techniques, you can so-called awaken that Kundalini, and it will more or less shoot up your spine and cross through every single chakra or energy center. So Kundalini yoga is a style of yoga that I had not really done before. I had done about 10 minutes of it at a wellness retreat that I went on 4 years ago because one of the attendees happened to teach Kundalini. But I myself, who is a vinyasa yoga teacher, which is far more focused on the physical poses and asanas, had never done this completely different style of Kundalini. So this is what I came to find. First of all, this particular studio that we had just randomly stumbled upon, and he happened to go on the website and book this event for the next night, happened to be a yoga studio that was created by essentially like the Kundalini rock star. So she has since passed, but her name is Guru Jagat. And as far as I have heard, she essentially learned from one of the Indian masters who came over in, I believe, the 70s or 80s. And so she learned directly from him and then spread all of the wisdom and the teachings. And she created 3 studios. One was in New York, one is in Venice, California, and one is in somewhere else. I wish I could remember. It's somewhere outside the US. I know that to be true. So anyway, this happened to be her studio. And you guys, just to make this more synchronistic in almost a weird way, this happened to be her birthday. So granted, as I said, she has already passed away, but this would have been her birthday. It was a full moon, a blue moon, and a super moon. And the class was being taught by the owner of the studio. So this was just a big, big deal. And the practices that we ended up doing in this class first of all, were so mind-boggling because many of them do not look to be hard, and yet within a couple of minutes, you are sweating profusely, and sometimes, I gotta say it, you're swearing under your breath. We did, for example, this form of breathing that was so hard for me, you guys, and I have to share this. I opened my eyes pretty much doing the whole breathwork practice just to look around and see what people were doing, to see if anyone else was struggling as much as me. Oh, no. I swear to you, I was the only one having any sort of difficulty with this breathwork practice. It was ridiculous. And I was so upset and frustrated trying to do this really intense form of breathing that I almost started crying. I was beside myself, which, by the way, is hilarious because Cal and I were watching this documentary called Babies the other day, where it just shows 4 babies from around the world growing up, and it kind of shares the differences in the cultural, versions of parenting and things like that. And this one baby, there's a scene where she's trying to play with blocks, or she's trying to stick the stick in the hole in the circle, that kind of thing, and she cannot figure it out, and she starts sobbing out of sheer frustration. And I paused the movie and I said, that was me in Kundalini. We've all had those times where you were so freaking frustrated, where you literally want to cry. We all have that baby within us. So anyway, going back to this Kundalini class, there were such profound techniques. Again, ones that make you sob, ones that make you hot and sweaty. But my favorite that I want to share with all of you, and I highly recommend after this podcast, after you have found your theme song that I already recommended earlier, you have to do this practice. I'm pretty sure the teacher called it jumping out of depression. Literally what you do, you put on a 3-minute song and you jump for 3 minutes. So when you jump, you are helping to move energy up and down your spine. The way I like to think of it is that energy, just like matter, can get kind of stuck in nooks and crannies, and it can feel stagnant. I mean, we've all felt that. Anytime you feel kind of lethargic or heavy, that is stagnant, stuck energy. And so anytime you feel that way, or if you literally feel sad, depressed, anxious, whatever it is, jump for 3 minutes, you will feel like an entirely different person. So I cannot recommend it enough. So we did that pretty much to an EDM song. It was like EDM plus Kundalini chanting, and it was so powerful. Cal and I have done that every single day since. So that was the Kundalini class, and it was very, very cool. I highly recommend, if you're interested in trying it, you can even go onto YouTube and look up 10-minute beginner Kundalini, and there will be plenty of options for you. So Thursday, we had something that I had actually planned, because the second I found out where we were going, I said, oh my goodness, I watched a video about this particular tour in Brooklyn 3 years ago, and I really want to go. So it was a really unique tour. It's called the Jewish Brooklyn Tour, and there's essentially a community within Brooklyn. There are multiple communities, but we went to one called Crown Heights that has a really high population of a certain type of Hasidic ultra-Orthodox Jew. And there are, I think he said 15,000 of them in the Crown Heights area. And so the whole concept is that you go into the community and you actually get to kind of peek behind the curtain and see what life for these ultra-Orthodox Hasidic Jews is actually like. And so it was so wonderful. I mean, we had, this great tour group. Some were Jewish, some were not. And we had a really, really just charismatic and kind tour guide. And something that I really loved about the tour, kind of the biggest takeaway from me, is that within Judaism, and honestly within any form of religion or spirituality or culture even, there is such a profound focus on the meaning behind every little thing. So for example, if you've ever seen an Orthodox Jewish man, they'll often have what looks like these little strings peeking out from under their shirt. It's called tzitzis, and I'm gonna kind of butcher this, so please forgive me. But essentially, there was something that he taught us about the number of strings hanging and the number of knots that are in each string, and how altogether, when you add it up, somehow it adds up to 613, which there's a belief that there are 613 commandments for the Jewish people given by God. And so that was kind of the biggest thing for me, that I realized there's such immense beauty in finding meaning and purpose and symbolism in the smallest of things. And I think whether or not you have your own religion or your own form of spirituality, that we can all do that in life. You know, that's one reason why I mentioned even the full moon earlier. I think that when you find meaning in the phases of the moon, something that we all encounter every single month, literally like clockwork, it brings a sense of deepness and just meaning into your life. So on full moons, for example, because it's the culmination of a lunar cycle, essentially the culmination of a month, that is a great time to think about what went well this month. What did I not love this month? What would I want to do differently? What am I going to release going into the next month? What does not serve me? And then 2 weeks later, when you get to the new moon, when it appears like there's no moon in the sky, that is a chance for new beginnings. It's a fresh start, a fresh slate. So that's when you can think about your intentions and what you'd like to manifest. So anyway, I just want this to be a message for you that, you know, I think it's really beautiful to find symbolism and meaning in small things in life. And the more that we do that, I think the better. So I really, really enjoyed that in the tour. And then that night, we went to this delicious 100% vegan dinner. And it was so fun because the restaurant was completely decked out in almost like a dark, enchanted woodland kind of theme. And so it had, you know, like moody lanterns, but also a ton of ferns and red in the wallpapers and velvet. And it was so beautiful. And it kind of made me want to subscribe to that aesthetic in all parts of my life. So that was so fun. And the funnest part about it is that, little fun fact, my favorite dessert of all time is a chocolate lava cake, or a molten lava cake, whatever you want to call it. Now, I went vegan 8 years ago, and I have not had a single chocolate lava cake since, until this place. Oh, mic drop. So it was so good. Oh my gosh, we took a video of the lava just melting out, ooey gooey deliciousness. Oh, I was so happy. If you're in New York and you want to check out this place, it was called Avant Garden, almost like avant-garde, and it was fantastic in every way. So, moving on, looking down at my little journal, seeing if there's anything else. Oh, yes. There are a couple more things. So this is really fun. So on Friday of that week, we were actually moving Airbnbs. So we had been staying in Manhattan for pretty much all week. And then we were going to be going over to Brooklyn so that we could stay in a different area, just see what it's like, and then also be a little bit closer to the second wedding that following weekend. And what's so interesting about that day is that Cal and I, while we were walking around in Manhattan one last time, you know, taking our stuff to the subway, we could not wait to get to the next destination. You know, it's like we really wanted to explore something new. We feel like, oh, we've been in this area of Manhattan so much. We know the streets so well. And yet, the second we got to Brooklyn, when we first arrived, we came off in the subway stop or station, whatever you call it, that was not the cutest. It looked a little bit sketchy where we were, and then we had to walk a couple blocks and it got really cute. But in the very beginning, when we walked off, we both had that thought of like, oh, we kind of want to go back. And it's so interesting how often that happens in life, that we always think the grass is greener on the other side of the fence, but sometimes it's not. So it's also kind of like the devil you know versus the devil you don't or whatever. We ended up loving both locations. The area of Brooklyn we were staying in was just so much fun. But it's interesting that we were so craving something new. Like, oh my gosh, we've been here. I just, we're ready. And even that first night in Brooklyn, even once we had found it to be, really cute, because we were settling in again to a new Airbnb, meaning we didn't quite have our routine. We had to kind of unpack our toiletries again. There was a sense of, we kind of want to go home. But when we thought of home, it wasn't necessarily California home. It was Manhattan, meaning the whole concept of home is ever changing for human beings. We are so adaptable. I truly think we adapt within a 24 to 48 hour period whenever we're somewhere new. And so we simply were craving a sense of familiarity. We wanted to go back to where we just came from because we knew that Airbnb and we knew those streets. And, if I went on a run in the morning, I knew exactly what kind of loop to go on. And so it really just made me think a lot about how we think of the concept of home, and that, we value home so much. And home, as you often hear, is not about where you are. It's the people you're with. Maybe it's your family, your friends, your partner. But home for us was also just a slight sense of familiarity. So something to think about, what does home mean for you? Does home mean the place you live now, or is it actually where you grew up? Was it your childhood home that, you haven't even been to in a few years or in a decade? Something to kind of, just think about, journal about. I really found myself fascinated by the concept. So moving on to the very end of the trip, I'll skip past Saturday. I'll tell you very briefly that we got last minute tickets to Moulin Rouge, and it was incredible. It was practically a burlesque show. And because I was a competitive dancer for most of my life, that level of dancing and performing with every cell in your body just really gets me pumped up. So Moulin Rouge was incredible. But Sunday was our final day. And that morning, we decided to go to a yoga class because right next to our Airbnb in Brooklyn was this adorable yoga studio. Every time we passed it, we said, oh my gosh, we can't wait to check it out. So we found this amazing sounding, heated yoga class. I think it was, 8 a.m. on a Sunday, and we were already up and ready to go. So we sauntered on over. We were so excited to have our yoga. Then we were going to get cleaned up. We were going to go journal in a coffee shop. Later that day, we'd have the wedding. It was going to be perfect. We get to the yoga studio, and we proceeded to wait in the studio with I think 3 other students for maybe 15 minutes. Then one of the students went back up to the front desk, found out that the teacher was a total no-show. And so she came down and said, so the teacher's not coming. We're sitting there like, and no one told us? We're just like, what is happening? And I was about to volunteer to teach when that same girl said, actually, you guys, I just graduated from my yoga teacher training, and I would love to use this as a practice class if you're okay with me teaching. And all of us were like, sounds good to me. And what's so synchronistic about that is that when Cal and I were checking into the front desk at the yoga studio, I had seen that girl come in, and I had seen her asking the lady at the front desk if they have auditions for new yoga teachers anytime soon. And I remember thinking like, oh, that's so sweet. You know, I remember being a new fresh teacher and being so nervous but excited to teach. And here we were 15 minutes later, and this sweet girl got to teach us a class. And so it was just another lesson of, even when things don't go to plan, even when they don't go the way you want them to go, it's okay. You know, that is life. And many times something even better will come out of it. I was so happy that this new teacher got to practice on us, you know, and it might not have been the caliber of class that we were signing up to take, but it was exactly what she needed and therefore exactly what we needed. And when she was finished, you know, we were all able to kind of do our own practice for the last 20 or so minutes, and then we got a refund. And so it all worked, but I just found it to be a really beautiful moment that Cal and I were totally hoping for this great heated yoga class taught by, you know, a professional, a tenured professional, and we got something far superior than that. So after yoga, we did go home, get showered, and then we went to a coffee shop. And there was another interesting situation at the coffee shop. So Cal and I were sitting there journaling, and we look over at the table next to us, and we see a guy reading this book called Crucial Conversations. And the reason why I even mention this book is because my mom, my brilliant, remarkable mother, is hosting this incredible women's summit, kind of a women's conference in a few weeks. And the entire theme of the conference is Crucial Conversations. She's actually having one of the women that works at the Crucial Conversations organization come and speak about the book, speak about how to have those really hard conversations that we all need to have, you know, with our bosses, with our partners, with our friends in life, etc. And here we are sitting in New York City, seeing someone actually read the book. And so Cal went over to him and said, "Hey, this is so random, but, you know, my wife's mom is actually about to host a conference about Crucial Conversations. You know, mind if I ask how you found the book, why you're reading the book, how you feel about the book?" And instead of giving us some short answer, this guy actually said, "I would love to. Do you mind if we sit down while I tell you the story?" And Cal and I looked at each other like, oh, this is about to be good. Because I feel like in life these days, it's so rare to have that kind of just spontaneous conversation with a stranger. And Cal and I have always said we find that we have more of those conversations when we're on a trip. I think you're often in kind of a different mindset. You're not as tied to your routine. You're often less in a rush. And so we end up having these conversations. We also had one with one of the other yoga students that morning in class. And what's so incredible about those conversations is that you end up learning that we human beings have far more in common with each other than we ever do have different. That doesn't make sense. I'll say that again. We human beings have so much more in common with each other than we don't. And when you talk to people from different walks of life, from different cultures, ethnicities, religions, societies, cultures, whatever, you find that we are really all the same. And even the girl that we spoke to at the end of yoga, she was telling us about how she had just gotten married and that they're planning a honeymoon to Bali, Indonesia. And Cal and I said, "Oh my goodness, we went to Bali last summer. Can we please have your contact information? We'd love to give you recommendations." And then even with this guy that was reading Crucial Conversations, we ended up having maybe a 45-minute in-depth conversations about our values and our thoughts on society and having these conversations with strangers. And at the end, he asked the most remarkable question. He said, "So how can I be of service to you two?" We thought, who asks that? That's amazing. And so, you know, we ended up kind of exchanging contact information, and it's just something that Cal and I discussed, you know, even when we come home, we want to energetically be open so that when there is some sort of opportunity for a conversation like that with a stranger, we don't automatically close to it. Not that we would ever want to, but because we're so tied to routines and times, and I have to be here then, and I have to do this. So let that also be a reminder for you to try to be more open to conversations with strangers, to synchronicities, to the beautiful serendipity in life. You know, that magic really exists for all of us to take part in, and we have to be open to really enjoy it. So with that, I will wrap up today's episode. I hope you had a good time. I had a great time just telling these stories. As you can see, I did learn a lot of lessons and have a lot of epiphanies throughout the trip. So thank you so much for tuning in. Again, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week. I'm sending you all of the hugs and deep breaths in the world. As a reminder, if you liked this episode, please rate and review the podcast either on the podcast app on your phone or on Spotify. It makes all the difference for the algorithm. And please subscribe. I'm on YouTube. I'm on everywhere you get your podcasts, Instagram, TikTok. And with that, I look forward to chatting with you next week. Okay. Bye, everyone.